Hello, my name's Phil and welcome to the Student Finance presentation on behalf of Student Finance Wales. This presentation is for students aiming to go to university in September 2023. What we will be discussing today is the Student Finance package, also additional support, student loan repayment after graduating. We'll go through the application process and finally a few hints and tips at the end on how to manage your money. What we're going to do first is discuss the student finance package. These figures are proposed figures from the Welsh Government. They have not been confirmed as of yet and are subject to change. However, there won't be any big changes, so it will give you a rough idea of what the student is entitled to for the academic year 23-24. Student finance is split into two sections. You've got your tuition fee side, which pays for the course, accessing resources at the university, and the other side is maintenance support. What I mean by maintenance support is money that we give the students for their general everyday costs, such as accommodation, food, books, travel, equipment, utility bills, social events. They can spend that money on whatever they want. What we'll do first is discuss the tuition fees. Tuition fees are currently capped at £9,000 per year in Wales or £9,250 elsewhere in the UK, and the fee is decided by the university. When it comes to paying for the fees, the student has two choices. They can either pay the fees out of their own pocket or via a third party, or they can take out what we call a tuition fee loan. Every student is entitled to a tuition fee loan, providing that they are studying in a UK institution and fit the eligibility criteria. We will pay the whole amount of the tuition fees for the duration of their course. What happens is the student will indicate on their application that they want to take out the tuition fee loan, and they will tell us where they're studying and how much their fees are, and we will pay the university directly on their behalf. What we'll discuss now is the other side of the student finance package, which is the maintenance support, money that we give the student for their general everyday costs. So the maintenance support is split into two. Part of it will be a loan, which they repay, and the other part will be a grant, which is called the Welsh Government Learning Grant. Whatever they're awarded in terms of a grant does not have to be repaid, and it's just the fact that they're from Wales. The amount of loan that they get will depend on where they live when they study, and whatever they're awarded will be paid directly into their bank account in 3 instalments at the beginning of each term. What we're going to do now is discuss the figures, how much they will receive on an annual basis. We're going to start off with the grant. Whatever they're awarded in terms of a grant does not have to be repaid. Every student will be entitled to at least £1,000. Some students will get significantly more than that, and the amount that they receive will be based on their household income. So whoever the student lives with, usually parents, single parents or official guardians, we will ask them to provide us with their household income details, so taxable income for a specific tax year. And the way that it works is the lower the household income, the more of a grant they get, and as the household income gets higher, the grant will decrease. This table here will show how much a student receives on an annual basis. So there are 3 scenarios in the large bold figures. So students living with parents, students living away from home and living anywhere in the UK that's outside of London, and also students studying in London. So if we look at the most common one, students moving away from home and studying outside of London, they will receive £11,220 into their bank account per year over 3 instalments. Now the way that they're awarded that £11,220 will be based on household income. So if you look at the left hand column, it says income, and it goes up in 5,000 increments. So if you look at the 11,220 again, to the left of that there are 2 columns, grant and loan, and what they both do side by side is add up to 11,220. So if you're from a low income family, you'd get the full grant of 8,100. We would then top it up by 3,120 to make that amount. And as the household income gets higher, the grant will decrease and the loan will increase, giving the student the same amount all the time. However, based on household income, some students might receive more of a grant and less of a loan, and vice versa. And that is more or less all the money available from Student Finance Wales. What we'll do now is discuss additional support that students may be entitled to. By all means, they can top up their general allowance with their own savings or getting a job whilst at university. Another place where they could get free money from is the individual universities themselves in the form of scholarships and bursaries. These do not have to be repaid, and the amount that they are awarded or the eligibility criteria is set by the university. So I would recommend you to contact the university and ask what their criteria are and how much they are, because at the end of the day it is free money. Students who have a disability, a physical disability, an illness, long-term health condition, mental health issues, or specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia, dyspraxia, may be eligible for what we call DSA, Disabled Students Allowance. They would submit an application to us. We'd arrange for them to go for an assessment with a medical professional, and then based on the report from that medical professional, we would pay for anything that they require, whether that's someone to take notes in a lecture, specialised equipment, and so on. Also, if the student has a child or an adult dependent, there may be additional funding as well. What we'll do now is go on to talk about paying the loan back after graduating. So we've established that students may take out the tuition fee loan and also the maintenance loan. So when it comes to paying back, they don't start to pay back until they've graduated or left their course, and they are working and earning over £27,295 a year. If they are earning below that threshold or not working at all, for whatever reason, then they're not eligible to pay that loan back. They don't have to. What happens is they provide us with their national insurance number when they apply, and we tie their debt to the national insurance number. So when they start working and earning a wage and earning above the threshold, their employer will take it out of their wages automatically and compulsory, like tax and national insurance, and they will then forward the deductions onto us. So the student doesn't have to phone us or set up a regular direct debit. It's all done automatically. The amount to work out how much they pay is anything that they earn above the threshold. It's 9% of that, and I'll show you an example in a moment. Should the student start repaying their loan for a period of time and they finish their employment for whatever reason, whether it's maternity, illness, short-term contract, then their repayments will stop until they earn over the threshold again. This table here will show how much a student pays back on a monthly basis. So the first column is their annual salary, middle one is monthly, and the final one is how much they pay back. So if they're earning below the threshold, as you can see, they don't pay anything back. If they earn £30,000 a year, they pay £20 a month back. And obviously the more they earn, the more they pay back. The student loan has a lifespan of 30 years, and that 30 years begins on their graduation date or when they leave their course. Whatever the remaining balance is after 30 years, if they have not paid it back, will be wiped off, whether it's a penny, a pound, or £50,000. And there's no repercussions for that. We don't fine them, and it doesn't affect their credit rating either. There is interest added to the loan from the day they get their first instalment in their first year, because we borrow the money from the banks, and the interest is currently the retail price index plus 3% whilst they're in university, and then depending upon their income after graduating, it will go from RPI only to RPI plus 3%. However, they will get a statement off us showing what their balance is, how much they've repaid, and how much interest that has been added. What we'll do now is discuss how the student applies. It's quite straightforward to apply, and it's all done online. And the website is studentfinancewales.co.uk. They would create an account. And this is also where they would find a host of resources, information and regulations and policies about student finance. The application forms are due to come out sometime in March 23. Keep an eye on social media for the exact date so you can apply. There will be a deadline as well. You don't have to have a confirmed place at university to apply. Put your number one choice in or where you hope to go and get the application form submitted and approved. At a later date, if you change the name of your university or decide not to go to university, it's easy enough to cancel the application. In order to apply, there are a few things that you'll need to have. You need to prove your identity, either passport or birth certificate, your university course details, a bank account in your name, and your national insurance number as well. If you want to be assessed for the grant, which is based on your parents' income or your guardian's income, all we need from you is their email address. We will then send them a separate email asking them to provide us with their income details. When it comes to parental income details, all we need is taxable income for a specific tax year, and more information can be found on the Student Finance Wales website. Here is an example of the website. This is where they would log in and find a host of information about student finance. We are on social media as well, should the student want to follow us or ask any questions about student finance or check when the date is coming to apply. We also have a YouTube channel as well, and there is a host of videos on there as well, including a part for parents explaining what we require from them as well. What we'll do now is just to discuss how much things typically cost at university. And the average student spends just under £800 a month based on a survey from savethestudent.org, and as you can see, over half of that is in rent. That is the end of the presentation now. Thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you now know how much the student can get approximately. It's maybe reassured you in terms of repayment, how the students apply as well. I cover the west of Wales from north to south, so if you have any queries, don't hesitate to contact myself. My details are there and also available online. My colleague Rhian Jones covers the east of Wales, north to south, and her contact details are there as well and also available online. Or if you have a general query, we do have a customer helpline as well, and they're open from 8 till 6 Monday to Friday. Thank you very much for listening today.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for all that information. We know it was a lot to take in, but we have our panelists here tonight to answer some of those questions maybe. Head over to the Teams Live meeting in the Understanding Student Finance Scholarship and Bursaries room for the live Q&A starting at 6:55.